that's why.
Hey everyone, I am so excited for today's Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much for joining us and tuning in. Today we are going to talk to you. We have myself, Diana, and Mary, and we are going to go over what the current market is looking like. We're seeing, a lot of people don't know exactly what's going on, what to expect. So we're going to tell you what to do out there as a seller and as a buyer, and we're just so excited to present you with this information. So I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoy talking about it. But first, we are lunching and learning. So, what are we having for lunch? Mary, as our special guest and first timer on Lunch and Learn, what have you brought to Lunch and Learn with us today?
Well, I joined Marui Sushi for my California roll and edamame.
I love that.
Salmon is my favorite, so I always go for that treat.
Oh, that's awesome. So, for those of you that don't know, Mary's actually from Kansas and not from California. So, question for you, Mary, in Kansas, do they call it a Kansas roll?
No, it's a California roll.
All right. It was just like a burning question. I had to know the
Yes.
answer to that. And Diana, what did you bring for lunch today?
I have a poke bowl from Big Eye Poke here.
Lots of fish swimming around in the lunches today. So I am actually, despite the heat, I love soup any time of the year, and tomatoes are in abundance. So I actually made a tomato soup from tomatoes from Diana's garden. So I know you guys, if you follow Diana at all, you know that she is quite the gardener and has quite the green thumb. She gave me a bunch of beautiful, juicy red tomatoes, and I roasted them up and made a delicious soup with them.
Nice.
Yeah, so some good food to go with some good conversation. So, where do you guys want to start it off today? I mean, Diana, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on with demand out in the market today?
Well, I know a lot of people are not familiar with what's happening in the real estate market, and I feel like there's a misconception that the market's slow because of COVID and people aren't buying and selling, and that actually is half true. So we have a lot of buyers out there. The demand is there. So for all of you sellers out there, people that are thinking about selling, there's a huge demand for houses.
Mhm.
We're actually leading the recovery here in the United States and the world. We have very few homes on the market right now. We checked the stats, and there are only 217 homes in the entire city of Corona. That's from Green River all the way down to Sycamore Creek. We have 459 homes pending and only 1 month of supply. What that means is if all the homes that were active on the market right now went into escrow, we would only have 1 month before we ran out of homes completely. And so that is crazy, crazy low inventory right now with such a high demand.
Right. And that demand right now is being driven partially by COVID also. So this both supply and demand are being affected by that, because we have people aren't able to go on vacation right now. So they're thinking more and more about how important that extra space is. Do you have an office at home for those that are working at home? Do you have extra loft space or extra rooms for the kids to play in a big backyard? You want to have that like vacation feel when you're at home, because you may not be able to go on vacation until the foreseeable future. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not excited to like go into a hotel anytime soon.
Well, there's also been a shift of people leaving the cities, right?
Yeah, that's right.
City and move into the suburbs. And Corona is such a great location. We're within 45 minutes of Orange County, the beach, the mountains. And it's a great, quiet little suburbs. Not a whole lot goes on here, which is great right now, right? To get some.
And it's super clean. Like it's so well maintained. Like everywhere you go, even like the quote bad neighborhoods of Corona are still really well maintained areas. So I've always been very impressed with like the parks and like the shopping centers and everything in the city itself. Mary, what are you seeing out there, like with when you're showing properties, like when you're scheduling people to go see things?
Well, I meet a lot of people from other places wanting to come here. And, they are impressed by the wide streets and everything well kept, and the parks and the trails, the beauty. It's very lovely here. It's a great infrastructure and a great family place. So people are wanting to be here.
Yeah.
Where do you see them coming from, Mary? Primarily Orange County, or?
There's a lot from Orange County. Yes. Los Angeles and yeah, from Orange County for sure.
I mean, you think, you mentioned the wide streets was just so true. Because like, think about Long Beach, guys, right? Like
Right.
You have cars parked down one side of the street, the other side's completely parked with cars, and it makes it almost a one-lane road when you're trying to drive through Long Beach. And they're older cities. Cars, I think, used to be smaller or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's and it's so packed in together. And as we're practicing social distancing, and we have this like need to have space in between us, but it just makes sense that we would see the demand going up so high. And then the prices are great in Corona, right? What's our average price point right now, Diana? I think you have those numbers.
For
$640.
Oh,
for in Corona. Sorry guys, that was my bad. we were just talking about how many like homes are over $1 million in Riverside County, so I totally threw her off right there, right before we got on here. So it's 12% of the homes.
Price point in Corona right now is $721,000.
Right, and I know it sounds like a lot, but when you're coming from Orange County or LA, like 700 gets you like a condo. Or like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house that's 100 years old with no parking. It's so crazy.
Here's an interesting stat for all you data nerds out there. So last year at this time, average days on market were 81 in Corona.
Yeah.
And now average days on market are 22.
Is that just for the luxury market, or is that just like overall is what we're looking at?
Yeah, overall.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Hey Barbara, thank you so much for joining us. I love it. So I hope your friend hops on. I would really love to see Will. If you're out there, we want you to join. So, I hope you can make it. So the other thing I know I'm seeing a lot as a buyer's agent is people want pools, and I think it's driven by that like need to vacation at home. And in all of Corona, there are only 44 pool homes available. That's it. Of the 217, which is already a super low number, only 44 of those have pools, and of those 44, 12 of them are over $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So the luxury market is just like banging
right now. And in 2 days, we had 60 showings. 2 days. Yeah. So the demand is out there, guys. This is really like the market is just so hot right now. Such a hot real estate market, which is awesome to see. Like, even if you're not looking to buy or sell right now, just seeing that activity, like it just makes you feel so happy inside to see that the economy can turn around, right? Like things are moving forward. People are living their lives.
Right. And you can see that like in the charts. I know when everything was happening, everybody was talking about like, we hope it's a V-shaped economy, not a U-shaped or, just a fat L. And what we're seeing is like in mid-April, like the supply and demand just like nosedived, right after COVID, everything's crazy. In our peak selling season, it just nosedives and then just like takes this hard right, goes straight back up the other side. V shape that we're seeing in demand here in California. So it's pretty exciting to be like driving that recovery.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the luxury market, guys. It's kind of an interesting time for luxury. You would think that there wouldn't be a lot of demand, a lot of people selling, buying in luxury, but luxury is actually, the demand is continuing to climb.
Mm-hmm.
For luxury homes. It's pretty crazy. The demand for luxury home increased by 5%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think, gosh, what was it? I think like in April, it was saying there was like they predicted like 459 days on market for the luxury market. So if you were over 650, it was going to take over a year for you to sell your house. I think it's like way, way, way down. Do you remember what that number was, Mary?
No, I
like,
don't.
It was like, it's like 84 now or something like that. It's like this.
4 days on market.
Yes, it is 84.
Yeah.
I think it was like 226 before. Is that the number you're looking for?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. So it's just like this, like, you know, I know like before COVID, when we put a home on the market that was like over 650, setting expectations that it might take, you know, between 3 and 6 months to get the house sold was normal. And now, you know, we're telling them you better start packing because you're going to be moving quick.
That brings up an interesting point. So the homes that are selling quickly have a few things in common. Number one, they're priced properly, right? So pricing the home right is so important. It's just like, that's the number one thing. And then preparing the home properly, like making sure it's clean, repairs are done, you know, having anything that you can do to spruce it up visually. Painting is always good. Just putting a fresh coat of paint, replacing any worn out carpet. Those homes are selling really fast. And like you said, Michelle, the pool homes. I mean, it helps that it's 1,000 degrees. Everybody's kind of looking for a pool home during this time of year anyway. Hi, Emily. Great to see you. Or I'm not seeing you, but I'm.
It's great to see your name pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
Emily is a former guest of the show, actually. And if you guys have any insurance, not insurance. I'm so sorry, Emily. I know what you do. I promise. Life insurance. Give her a call. She can help you out. She's amazing.
Actually put her info below. So if you guys want to reach out to her, they do life insurance, financial planning. I know she's been helping us with a lot of our stuff. Hi, Jocelyn and Roxanne.
Two of my favorite people right there. All the besties are joining us today. I love it.
So as we're talking about like demand and that there's so few homes on the market, I know there's a lot of buyers out there that are having trouble getting their offers accepted.
Yes.
And that's something that you, Michelle, and Mary specialize. So what could somebody do to get their offer accepted? What are some tips?
Yeah, well, we definitely have to set expectations for them, and they need to be expecting to pay over asking. If it's a house that meets the criteria that Diana's talking about, they've prepared it properly, they've priced it properly, you know, anywhere between 10 and 50,000 over the asking price isn't unheard of in this market.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What are some strategies you've used, Mary?
Well, to build a strong offer, maybe be prepared to waive some of the contingencies,
right?
To value.
Yeah, the appraised value and inspections are big ones. Cash is king. If you can pay cash, pay cash.
Right.
That's definitely a big one. Also, if you have a home to sell, you gotta have it on the market at least, but best if you can negotiate a longer stay on the property and then enter as a buyer non-contingent, because those contingent offers are just going right to the bottom of the pile.
Right.
Yeah. So, you figure what's the average right now that we're going up against, Mary, between 10 and 15 offers on a good property. Right. So that's what we're seeing right now. And so when you come in and you're like 10,000 over asking and you waived the appraisal, yes, but then you want the inspection and forget about it. Like your offers, you probably won't even see a counter. Because when a listing agent, and you know this, you can speak to this, Diana, when you have 15 offers, you're not going to counter all of them.
No, well, no, I mean, you can do multi-seller counters. It depends on your strategy.
Right.
But some tips just for buyers out there as a listing agent. So Mary and Michelle, we're a team in case you guys are new to us. Mary and Michelle are my buyer's agents and I'm the listing agent. As a listing agent, a couple important things, like Michelle said, being non-contingent, like that helps so much in a market like this.
Mhm.
And also like shortening your contingencies, like the home inspection, if you can waive it better. If you can't, 10-day contingency, waiving appraised value, super important if you're coming in over asking. And dealing with a professional agent. So,
Yes.
not Ash, like your cousin who does real estate part-time, but as a listing agent, like I'm looking at the other agent to see like what kind of agent are they, right? Because number one, like you can offer $1 million on a home, but number one is the ability to close escrow. And in a market like this with COVID and all the different unemployment and all the things going on, having someone working with another professional on the other side, man, it makes such a big difference.
It really does.
Really like choosing an expert, someone that does real estate, like that's what they do for their
Mhm.
wow, it just makes such a difference in moving the transaction forward and everybody winning, right? Because that's
For your protection too.
what's
Mhm.
that, Mary?
For your protection as well on
Oh,
such a big contract.
Yeah.
yeah, real estate's complicated and it's actually gotten more complicated, guys, with COVID. There's a lot, as realtors, I mean, there's a lot of hoops to jump through to keep
Yeah.
safe and protect our clients, the sellers, and the buyers. So it's become more important than ever.
It really is. And we
Yeah.
actually have an online question, and maybe you ladies can answer this. I'm sure you can. What is a contingency?
Oh, that's a
What does contingent mean? What are those for?
so contingent means that you have to do something to get something. I mean, that's really simple. But for instance, in order to purchase a new home, you have to sell your old home. So completing the transaction is contingent upon you selling your new home.
Hmm.
Home inspection contingency would be that in order for the transaction to complete, you have to have completed the home inspection and agreed to any repairs or absence of repairs, right?
Yeah. And what's the risk of not completing a contingency?
The contract could be canceled.
Yeah, the contract can be canceled, or you can lose your earnest money deposit.
Yeah.
So when you first for all of the first time home buyers out there, when you make an offer, within 3 days after the offer is accepted, you have to put in what's called an earnest money deposit. It's kind of like like an engagement ring. Like, I'm going to give you this little bit of money, and just to let you know that I'm serious. You can hold on to it. You hold it in your hand, and I have these little contingencies. Well, those contingencies protect that. So if it needs a completely new roof and you're like, I'm not dealing with that, and the seller doesn't want to fix it or anything like that, you get that money back and you get to move on. However, you've removed all of those contingencies. You say, there's nothing wrong with the house. My loan is solid. The appraisal is good. Inspection. My house is in escrow. And all of those are taken away. And you say, you know what? I'm gone. I'm out. The seller gets to keep that because they have had their home off the market this entire time and could have missed out on so many other buyers because they've been held on for you. So that's what you risk as a buyer. And as a seller, it's a lot harder to get out of the contract, honestly.
Speaking of earnest money deposit, again, like getting offers accepted, having a larger earnest money deposit, like as a seller, it just shows that you're more into the transaction, right?
Right.
Putting a larger down payment is another thing that we got on the listing side. Like, how much money are they putting down? Because it denotes stability, right? Well, they have more money, so they're more stable. They're invested in the property.
Right. Which just breaks my heart for all the FHA buyers out there right now. It's so hard when you're only doing 3.5% down, and you know, you were fortunate enough to be eligible for a program that's paying your closing costs or your down payment. It's just when you're even in the first time home buyer price range under 500,000, still seeing like cash offers over asking, waived appraisals, and someone who's FHA, for those that don't know what that is, they have to get an appraisal. They cannot waive it. The loan completely requires that you have an appraised value on the home, so you can't waive it.
Well, so going back to what we were talking about earlier with, dealing with an agent on a buyer's agent, as a listing agent, again, it's not always the price, right? It's the ability to close escrow.
Right.
So somebody come in with an FHA, but their agent's like on the ball, they put a really solid offer together, they have all the documentation that's requested, they're put their best foot forward. I mean, I would advise a seller to consider that like being an agent that knows what they're doing, as opposed to someone that came in with more money, who maybe didn't provide the paperwork, or doesn't have a good lender, or didn't give a good qualification letter, right?
Right.
You can offer anything, but
puts together a sloppy offer, like doesn't check all the right boxes, and like there's no attention to detail.
exactly. And that shows you, if they're doing that in the beginning when they're trying to get a house, like what's going to happen when you're in escrow.
Right. That's
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Buyers have a lot of power once you enter escrow, because the seller can't cancel the contract unless the buyer in some way violates it by not removing a contingency. But the seller can't, they lose a lot of power once you enter escrow.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing we're seeing, I know that I've been seeing, and I think Mary has too. Actually, I know for a fact Mary just went through a crazy lease situation. So don't name any names or anything, but tell us about like the whole like lease experience you just had, like trying to get somebody accepted on a lease.
There's multiple offers. It's just like home buying right now, as far as the troubles and what you need to provide and the financials, and it's a big deal, and there's not enough houses out there for lease.
Weren't they paying like $100,000 up front?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to pay upfront the whole year, and
they
still waiting.
I couldn't hear you there, Mary. What was that? Or I'm sorry, Diana, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I was asking Mary, the agent was still requiring documentation, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you imagine like trying to rent a house and you're like, oh, here, I'm going to give you $100,000 up front to cover all of my rent for the entire year, and still going, well, we'd like to run a credit report.
Right.
Well, not only that, but we want to see your financials that are going to cover 3 months of rent. Like they're paying for a year up front.
Right.
So that goes back to what Diana was saying about making sure you hire a professional, even if you are a landlord and you're using a realtor to lease your house out. You need to use a professional, somebody that knows what they're doing. Shout out to Trish Bellis. One of the best lease agents I know out there.
Hey, Michelle, what are 3 tips that you would give to buyers who are wanting to purchase a home right now?
Okay. So my 3 tips would be prepared. So I know it's the same for sellers. Be prepared. So you need to have all of your financial documentation in order, have your pre-approval ready to go. Make sure your agent, work with an agent, has all of that information so that when you find a property, you can act quickly. 2, be prepared to offer over up to 50,000 over asking price. Shorten appraisals and or even waive them. So if you can do that, it's going to put you in a great position. And lastly, don't expect a deal right now. So if you were shopping for a deal, this may not be the market for you to be shopping in, or you need to be shopping homes that are much older on the market because they're probably overpriced and they're about ready to start pricing right.
So when she says older, she doesn't mean like an older home necessarily.
No.
One that's been on the market for
Right, one that's been on the market for a little while. If it's under 600,000, 2 weeks. If it's been on the market for 14 days, it's starting to, like, you're already there's something wrong in this market. And Emily, to answer that question real quick, the average earnest money deposit is about 1% of the purchase price. So offer more, and it does apply to your closing costs at the end, so you don't lose that money.
Right.
And same question to you, Diana. What are like 3 tips that you would give sellers in this market to stimulate a multi offer situation?
Okay, well, price it right, first of all. I would even suggest pricing it a tad lower than the market value. And I know that seems contrary to what you would think, but trust me, you will get multiple offers, you'll have multiple showings, and you'll be able to drive that price up, or your agent will be able to drive that price up. So pricing it right, so important. And again, that goes back to hiring a professional. I know we keep pounding on that, but it's just so important, guys. So important to hire a professional who does this for a living full time, right? Is that me?
Sorry, that's me. My phone's on me, my computer's not.
And then preparing your home properly. That's a big one. People are very visual. So they walk into a house and they're just going to see what they see. They're, if they see the carpet's shabby and worn, in their mind, it's like, oh, we have to replace the whole carpet. It's going to cost us $10,000, right? People tend to overvalue the cost of repairs. So replacing what you can, fixing what you can, fresh coat of paint, definitely like decluttering the house, super important. Take down all your personal photos. People want to see themselves living there. Staging the home and getting professional photos and video. 3D video, super important in this market. The photos are everything right now, right? We can't have open house. People are shopping more online than ever. So you really need to present your home properly. And one more time, going with a professional can help you with that.
Always go with a professional. Now, Mary, you've been doing a lot of showings for me, which has been so valuable. I do have at risk at home, so I try and keep my out in public as little as possible. So, Mary, what is something that you would tell clients to be prepared during the showing process?
Are you talking about COVID related?
Yes, COVID related. In this market, what do people need to be prepared for when they're going to see properties?
Well, first off, we have the special P form that everybody needs to sign to release liability of COVID in any circumstance to the owner or the real estate agent or the buyer. The mask needs to be worn. Mm-hmm. Always carry the sanitizer and my cleaning stuff with me, and just keep things really clean so that everybody's safe and comfortable as possible through that.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what you need to be doing. So it's a little bit tougher to see properties right now. Mm-hmm. So definitely being prepared to do a little bit of extra to get mm-hmm. into them. And making sure that we're keeping everyone safe, because ultimately we want buyers, sellers, agents, everyone to be safe and confident and comfortable in a really unknown environment right now. And it'll get us back to the normal that we all crave a little bit faster.
Right.
So this was a lot of fun, ladies.
This was good.
And sure to like and love us. We do these every week. Next week, we are trying our very hardest to get an ICU nurse on so that we get like front lines of what's going on in the hospitals and out there in the nursing world. Join us next Thursday, and we've got tons of other stuff on our Facebook page. So like us on Facebook, on our page as well, and follow us.
Yeah. Feel free to share this with anyone you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. We are still working hard out there, and we cannot wait to take care of the people you love. And we hope that you're willing to trust us as that professional we so highly recommend. So you guys have a good one out there, and follow the red ribbons.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.